I like how you mentioned too, for not just people that have the addiction, but the other people just with family drama or just other codependent behaviors, to have a plan to not to get engaged in the kind of behavior.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Pam. I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you always get into the same battle, with your father or your brother or whoever it is, plan ahead and say, you know what, I don't want to be baited this time. I don't want to have to jump into that same old struggle. And if it looks like you're not going to be able to get out of it any other way, just say, I gotta go. And that's all right. It's okay to take care of yourself. One of our patients here is going to a family reunion out of town. She went ahead and did the research and found meetings in this small town. And when I thought about it, I thought, you could go there and live for a month and never really meet people and get to know people. But you could go to an AA meeting for one night and make friends that you might have for the rest of your life. Don't be lonely. Don't be isolated. Watch out for hidden alcohol and various holiday foods. One of our counselors at Sharp McDonald Center told me he was going to Las Vegas. I said, well, isn't that kind of risky, going to Las Vegas? And he said, no, the best meetings on earth are in Las Vegas. It's just wild people that are not drinking, but they're still having a great time. Keep a non-alcoholic beverage in your hand. Don't feel obligated to tell anyone. It's personal and private, unless you have that kind of relationship with the person and you think they will respect your privacy and be discreet about it. But if you have 2 or 3 responses ready to use, that helps. And whether it's I'm not drinking for my health, or I'm recovering from something the doctor says not to drink, and if you need it, I'll be that doctor. Just call me and I'll so you can be perfectly honest. You don't owe anyone an explanation. It's amazing how people feel guilty, especially if they were always the ones that brought all the booze and were twisting everyone else's arm to drink, and then suddenly they're having a ginger ale. But if that's what you've decided for yourself, you don't have to feel guilty about it. Be clear and firm, friendly, respectful. You don't have to put anyone else down. Don't be vague about it, and don't prolong the discussion. Don't hesitate. If somebody says, come on, have a drink, and you go, then they know they're going to get to you sooner or later. So often, just knowing that it's okay to say, I'm not drinking. I don't need a drink. That's because it's such a change. If you haven't had to go through that, it doesn't seem to make sense. But for people in early recovery, it's a struggle. And I've seen many people relapse, and I've seen a few people lose their freedom when they got arrested for a DUI, or lose their marriage, or lose their job, just because they had one drink at a party. I saw a guy in jail, and he basically broke his arm, and he was on Vicodin for that, totally legitimate. But then he felt a little high with that. He started drinking and using some drugs, and woke up in jail. Had no idea why he was there, how he got there. He'd run over someone in a crosswalk, and no memory of it. Complete blackout. He'd been sober, by the way, for almost 7 years. So he was completely unprepared for it. No, thank you, I'm good. I'm not drinking today, but thanks anyway. I'm the designated driver, that's a good one. Trying to stop drinking to improve my health. no thanks, I have a drink already.
I always caution people as well with non-alcoholic drinks,
Mhm.
because they do have some alcohol in them.
Like non-alcoholic beer.
And also just the illusion sometimes can be a trigger.
Yes.
So that's something to discuss with your counselor or sponsor or with someone in your group or peer. And because I've seen lots of people go out after they had a near beer or whatever they call them, the beers and stuff now. Even virgin cocktails.
Yeah, because it looks like it tastes like it brings up all these associations. Yeah.
And I've even had accidentally ordered a virgin drink and gotten a real drink before as well.
I saw somebody once who, O'Doul's, O'Doul's is like non-alcoholic, was drinking 12 of them a night.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, O'Doul's is not that good. It's okay, but it's not that good. And it was just, he really, really wanted a drink. And he was just white knuckling it. And you know, I guess that's better than a full-on relapse, but it's leading up to a relapse.
I used to have a partner, and he had this wonderful comment. He said that he drinks to keep other people interesting.
Uh-huh.
I
have that magnet at home.
Sticking around a party gets tedious if you're sober. My experience, anyway.
Mhm.
But still, you have friends and family, and if you get invited, you know you owe them the courtesy of a visit. I've come up with a formula that just works like a champ. I always come early. That way, the host absolutely sees me, and I have an opportunity to talk to them while they're still sober, and they get the impression that, you know, John was there, and I never say goodbye. Never. I mean, it just, you know, I just kind of disappear. That way, they don't know when you left, and you aren't getting that, gee, how about one more drink or any of that crap.
Party pooper or any of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it just works wonderfully. That way, everybody, you know, you still get invited, and the people you get to talk to usually are the people that you like and enjoy company with. And when they start talking too loud and repeating themselves and smell bad, you're gone.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great strategy, and especially you don't leave. For all they know, you're still around there somewhere. They could look for you for hours. You know.
What happened to you? Oh, I was over there.
I was there.
I was having a great time.
In spirit.
A lot of people in early recovery say, you know what? I went out with my friends and we went to the bar and we've had so many great times there, and it's kind of boring. After an hour, when they start to repeat themselves, you know, it's not that funny. And you know, and that's a little sad. But like you said, hey, go early and enjoy them while you can. When I wrote this, I was thinking about, you know, some really hard times I had with some of my relatives who, you know, they knew they had a problem, I knew they had a problem, we talked about it, but I also knew it was going to be another bad scene. And you know, you love them and you don't want to not invite them, but on the other hand, you know, you don't want to have, you know, everyone else's time ruined. And when you have little grandkids and other people involved, you know, you have a responsibility for everyone there, and you don't want to lose their presence, but you don't want to ruin it for everybody else. And so that's kind of where I was coming from. And for alcoholics, addicts, and family members who are affected by their problems, the holidays can too often result in a crisis. And so this is the same thing. How can you be proactive and try to avoid the crisis, especially when it's already happened and it's almost guaranteed to happen again? You know, domestic violence, drunk driving arrests, emergency room admissions, fatal overdoses, all increased on Thanksgiving Day. You know, happy holidays. sorry, it's such a grim message. But how can you avoid a sad situation of your family becoming a statistic? Make an honest assessment of what the most recent holiday get-togethers were like. You know, was alcohol use or overuse a problem? And just go back over and think of it. Or, you know, the family, you know, wedding reception where you ended up having to be the bouncer and tell, you know, your relative that they're cut off or that they have to leave. It's awful. And were there hurt feelings or even injuries? And usually it's my feelings that I'm aware of that are hurt. The person I have to, well, I don't know, it depends on the person. Sometimes they're in a blackout and they don't remember. Sometimes they have a personal vendetta against me forever, which has happened to me. Are you dreading a repeat of these problems again this year? You know, if you're saying, oh God, I wonder what's going to happen. And you know, are certain family members struggling with maintaining sobriety? And you want to respect their effort. Are there other family members who are offended by drinking or drug use? And you know, are there kids at the table that you want to protect them? For some people struggling with craving for alcohol, even non-alcoholic wine can be a trigger. And you know, just sparkling water or fancy punch instead of. I actually went to some websites and got 3 different sites for non-alcoholic wines, if somebody wants to try that. One of our counselors, though, at McDonald Center said, you know, non-alcoholic beer is for non-alcoholics. So, but, you know, if you want to keep that tradition alive, and there are options without alcohol. And by the way, if somebody's taking Antabuse, you know, there might be 0.5% of alcohol, but that's still too much. If you fear that people might be offended, you know, hey, we expect you to break out the good stuff when you invite us over to your house. Explain the reason clearly, but without accusation. You know, it's because of you that no one else can have a glass of Chardonnay this year. You know, that's not going to work. But if you just say, hey, you know, I want to do something different this year, and you can have all the wine you want any other time, but we're not having that tonight. You can say it's part of your doctor's orders, and again, I'll be the doctor. They can call me and I'll verify, yes. I think it's a good idea to stay away from it this year.
Do you just consider discussing it ahead of time with the people who come to the party?
Yeah, don't spring it on them when they walk in the door. You know, especially if there was a problem last year, just to talk about it. Hey, just to let you know, I decided we're going to be alcohol-free this year, and you know, don't let it bother you, and we're going to have a good time. Other problems can ensue, though, as you can imagine. You may have to ask guests not to bring alcohol. That would be a reason to do that. One of my daughter's weddings, you know, we had all sorts of alcohol there, but people brought stuff in for whatever reason. Didn't make any sense. But if you're trying to be alcohol-free and people bring in alcohol, obviously that defeats the whole plan. And if somebody shows up drunk, then you're going to have to deal with it. Either you're going to say, okay, I give up. I don't have a choice, you know, my own dinner table. Or you can say, hey, we need to talk about this. One of my rules in life and in medical practice is never argue with a drunk. But if you have to, you know, you're going to have to come up with something. And if somebody really is intoxicated, you may have to cancel. You know, it's awful, but if you know from last year was a disaster, and this year's shaping up to be a disaster, then better to say, okay, you know, dinner's off, and have leftovers. They're going to be good when you reheat them. And this sounds like a horrible Grinch-like thing to do for a holiday party, but you know, if you know the alternative is going to be very likely to be a disaster, and you have to be prepared to do that. The message will definitely be out there that, you know, when you said you wanted it to be alcohol-free, you weren't kidding. You really meant it. Didn't mean any ill will by it, but if you can't carry out your own plan, then you're going to have an escape route.
You know, you have a plan. That's the key. Families can slowly get to a point to where they're so used to the person who has the addiction imposing themselves and feel somewhat powerless in affecting any change. But the family is very powerful, and what I encourage is that you be more powerful than their addiction that year for that holiday, and let them know in advance, be very clear, and follow through 100%.
If you're planning ahead and you say, you know, this is going to be reckless, this is going to be a trigger, this is going to challenge me, and I'm not sure I'm up to it, don't do it.